The most important technique in all of Jiu Jitsu with a huge asterisk. I forgot that part. So that's important. But I do think that it's the most important thing we can do from our back. Right? So this is going to be guard dependent, but I'll show you how it applies to the top position also. And for me, I work hard to try to find these hubs of Jiu Jitsu. Right? Like what is at the center of what I want to accomplish that has all these spokes coming out of it, that has all these submissions, like what's their core, right? For me, the flower sweep is like the most fundamental movement we have that is so underutilized, and it really kind of transcends all of our jiu-jitsu because at the core of it, everything is contingent upon me having a big perpendicular swing to somebody, right? So when I get my spine perpendicular to your spine, it's usually a good thing for me, right? Especially if I have a leg entanglement. So understanding how a flower sweep works is going to help our arm bars, help our triangles, both from mount and from guard, because mount is guard in space, right? It's the same idea. Robbie, can I get you? Are you taking notes instead?
Yeah, we're good.
You don't have to be on. You can have a seat if you want. I'm not going to kill you. It's a flower sweep. It's delicate. It's beautiful, right? So the first thing we have to do is understand how we pendulum our body, right? So we're going to do a couple of kind of silly drills that are really important, but they're not super based in reality, meaning like there's no practical application. We're just learning how to move our body. So we're going to have a partner sitting like this. Perfect. We're just going to do, we do like an armbar pendulum drill, right? We're just going to use the swinging our bodies around. What happens is when we do our armbar pendulum, we end up getting stuck on our edges. So for me to accomplish an outside leg over Robbie's face, I try to swing my leg over, and I do this. And this is dumb. Alright? The goal is to have a flat back, and I'm going to spin on my turtle shell. Right? I want to get this big 180-degree turn from head from his left, from head to his right. Right? So the first one's always the hardest one. I'm going to hook under his arm a little bit, pendulum this way. I'm going to swing. Big swing. Like this. So my core is active the whole time. As I crunch my body, I reduce the surface area on the mat, and I spin much more free. If my head's down, that's fucking stupid. Don't do that, right? So, nice tight crunch, reducing the surface area, big pendulum motion, arms and legs are active. If I get to here, that's cool, right? If I get all the way to here, even better, right? Big swing, all the way through. Let's start there, and if you can't do that, you're off the team. So start there. All right, should we clap? Wait, sit down. We'll do that. All right. I don't say 1, 2, 3. We just go ready, clap. So guess when I say clap, and clap then. Ready? Fucking nailed it. Let's try it. Yeah. Here's the issue, right? With a lot of what I do, it's harder without an active partner. Right? When the person's just sitting there like an idiot, it's hard to do. But if I can't do it with an idiot, then I can't do it with a real grappler. Right? So I've got to make sure I can do it by myself first, and then I add another human component into the situation, and it's much easier because now I understand how to move myself and not manipulate somebody else. Right? I told this group here, like, if this is my 90-year-old grandmother, I should be able to pendulum on her without breaking her hip. Right? And so it'd be weird, but she'd be okay. She wouldn't die. It's really important to understand that. Now, let's turn it a little bit more into jiu-jitsu. I'm going to start my flower sweep, but I'm not going to finish it. So same exact pendulum drill, but now we're going to hook the body, and we're going to start with a, kind of like a baby arm drag, right? So usually it comes from a failed arm drag. So I get an angle, but I not enough to get to the back. He does a good job of stopping me from getting to his back. So, we're in guard. I've got a small angle on the arm. I'm going to reach through right between his shoulder and his neck, and I'm going to grab his outside armpit. Right here. All right, so all I want to do now is bump him. I want to bump him towards the trap post. So as I pendulum, I want this leg to do a big breakdance move, and I want this leg to uppercut him kind of in the armpit.
So I can go both ways, or I can keep one side. One side is totally fine, guys. I'm going to go really big move. I'm going to crunch my abs. My arm's going to swing towards this leg. This leg is going to move and almost hit myself in the back of the knuckles. Just like that. Right? We're not going to sweep yet. I don't care what your outside arm does. I care that you keep the overhook nice and tight so they can't extract their arm yet. And I care that you get a big enough angle that you hit them with your inside leg. Right? So I'm going underneath. I'm going to bump them here and then stop. Right? Big swing, bump, and stop. So all I care about is that initial lift. If you're doing judo, you'll spend hours and hours and hours doing just that lift. Right? Just that quick entry. There's no point in taking them to the ground because everything else is easy after that. So get that load in there really well first, and then we'll progress from there. Can we do it? Yes. No. Let's try it. Ready? All right. So the emphasis there was on what our legs can do, right? So I want to break it down step by step. I want to make sure my legs are active the correct way first, and then we start adding in the arm, adding in the pendulum, and adding in all the components that make it work together. Anything, especially from guard, but both top and bottom, it all matters how much I can use my body at one given time, right? If a lot of us, when we first start doing jiu-jitsu, we can move our legs very well, or our arms very well, but not like all at the same time, right? So I gotta like spin plates, right? So it's important I use all my body all the time. Now we're gonna add in that pendulum position. When I teach arm bars, it's all about putting my nuts in his armpit. Right? My nuts are in his armpit, I'm winning the fight. It's true. So, I go for arm drag, I catch, not enough to get to the back, right? This time I'm gonna dive myself with my leading arm between his legs, and I wanna go so deep for an underhook that I can comb my hair. Right? I never wanna have a shallow underhook on this. I wanna go all the way under his leg, my elbow pit to his knee pit, come back, touch my own head. That means my hips have to escape his legs. If my hips stay between his legs, I can never get perpendicular. All I want to do is crunch my body up. So, my right hip goes to his right knee and sits right here. That's how I know that I can armbar him if I wanted to. I'm in a great position. There's no flexibility to do from there. But really, he's so loaded on top of me that he falls over gracefully. Right? So, I grab. I'm going to dive my arm underneath. I'm going to kick myself sideways and get to here. All right? So now, what I've accomplished is I've moved my center of gravity under his. If I can transition to my center of mass behind him, he'll fall into this hole gracefully. And there's no lifting necessary. So that's the crux of all of our sweeps, is a transition of weight. We have Robbie on the heavy side, which I can lift him over my center into the weak side. I can do that, but it's hard. Or I can move myself underneath him. So I elevate him a little bit by kicking him in the armpit, which is his heels off his butt. I dive myself underneath him, and once my shoulder peeks out the backside of his thigh, I know that the weight has transitioned to strong side, from strong side to weak side. Right? Weak side is where he falls over. My goal is to have him forced into doing a forward roll. Okay? The arm stays trapped the whole time. I move myself nuts to the armpit. I change my center of mass from strong side to neutral to weak side, and he falls over. Okay? So this time, I want you guys to do the same thing. We're going to load but not finish. It's really easy to finish from here. It's really hard to not finish. And that's what I want you guys to feel, is that moment where it's harder to stop him from falling over than it is to stop halfway, right? So grab, I'm going to pull, knee pull, kicking my foot to 1 o'clock. I'm going to dive myself underneath and get to here. Right? Now I'm upside down. So now I can stay here. Everything else is easy. This foot came all the way around, the same as our first drill. Touches the ground. I'm nice and tight. Nothing stops Robbie from falling this way now. So, we have our baby arm drag. Nice tight underhook, or armpit grip. This one's going to dive, but it can't fit right now. So it's one motion. A kick and a dive. Here.
Now my spine is perpendicular to him. His center of mass is on top of mine. The finish becomes easy, but I'm not going to finish it. You see right here. Reset. Arm drag. Dive. I went so far beyond perpendicular that I'm almost 180. All right? If I can get myself where I went from our heads that are in alignment to me going flip-flop, kind of like north-south, he's going to fall over every time. All right? So really, really make sure we have our position. I'm going to kick. End up here. Now the sweep is very easy. Breakdance fighting. Yeah? Let's try that. Ready? All right. So, like I just finished saying, the trick is to be tight enough not to lose the arm drag, but loose enough to wrap around the body, right?
Huh.
So, a lot of what I do is the same thing. I got to clamp on one thing with an arm, and then have my body be like octopus arms, and just kind of wrap around you, right? So I find an anchor first, and then I find an entanglement, as opposed to getting an entanglement first and then finding a break, kind of like a heel hook. You would find honey hole first, then attack the heel, or you can cup the heel first and then find a way to wrap your legs around their leg and break, right? Both ways are correct if you can utilize them the right way. So I have a clamp, which is the baby arm drag, right, with the lat grip. Everything else has to be a product of me wrapping my body around it. And I think most of us felt that there's a certain point where we wrap so much and it's hard to stop them from falling over, right? So that's what I want to feel. Once I have accomplished that large swing, I have a lot of options, okay? His reaction will dictate what I do from there. If I get no reaction from him, the sweep becomes very easy, all right? So let's do the sweep first. Then we'll talk about 2 ways that he might try to stop this from happening and how we deal with those 2 things. The really key thing here is I don't want to build my attack chain off of my opponent's mistakes, right? I want to build my attack chain off of my opponent's correct responses to what I'm doing to him. So I'm not waiting for him to make a mistake. He's doing the right things, and I have an answer for that too. Okay, so for the sweep, we're almost there. Okay, when we did breakdance class, both for my class and for Charles's class, one of the big concepts is having this angular momentum coming from the end of our levers. Okay, and so when I do a windmill, everything is contingent upon my feet finding the correct trajectory. Okay, if my feet swing really high, there's always an opposite reaction, right? They're going to come down low to the ground. So I have to be sure I'm on this plane that's going to go big swing and then arcs up or arcs down into a big swing, right? These are nice, smooth motions. That's what we're trying to accomplish. As I have, without an opponent, as I make this work, right, I dive myself underneath this leg now. If it stays knee to chest or it stays bent, everything falls apart. Okay? Both of my legs are going to almost go to a windmill or a flare position. So I want to be able to swing them and create enough momentum with my tiny little ankles to move my whole body around. Right? I don't have the option of doing this. My hands are occupied. Right? So I gotta make it happen without my hands. So I have a baby arm drag. The arm's gonna dive. This helps. Now I have a way to anchor to him under his leg. My legs are gonna go here. Because now the leg that goes to the ground, which it does for me every time, becomes a swing to make the mountain happen. Right? I'm a big proponent of doing things without a partner. Right? If I can visualize it and I can make my body move without an anchor point, it's so much easier with the body. Right? So the other thing is doing things forwards and backwards. So do a technique and then rewind it. If you can do it backwards, you really understand it. Yeah. So, but let's finish our sweep. So we have our baby arm drag, nice and tight here. I'm going to pull him. This is my clamp. I have one clamp this time. Everything else becomes noodles. Right? I swing my body underneath. I get him elevated enough that my body can go under his center of mass. My outside leg pendulum so far that I hit that inverted guard position. Right? Here. Now, this leg is going to swing low to the mat and out of the way. Right?
So now I can stop time. All right? I have a spot where I can pause. I want my sweep to do just this and freeze, because now there's no scramble. I want to load a sweep quickly and finish a sweep very slowly, because now I know I have what I need. So what I do, okay? Yeah. What I do is I start thinking about what happens next. Okay? I'm not going to celebrate a sweep. I'm going to go to the next thing. So I know I already have an arm drag. I wanted to go to the back anyway. I can start planning my back attack right now, because this is under complete control. Go back. I have control over Robbie. I have control over me. I make my swing, get them loaded. Boom, I'm planning my attack right now. Nice and slow. And you're going to go really slow through the whole process. If I can't do it slow, I can't do it fast. Right? Have control before you have speed. So we're going to try the whole flower sweep just like that, with the emphasis on being able to stop time whenever you want. All right? You can have your partner randomly say stop. You should be able to freeze right there and hold them where they are. If you can't, you're using momentum for the sweep too much, or you're using muscles. I want it to be a flow. Right? All I'm doing is making him do a forward roll. So one more time. All right? Big dive here. Load him up. Start swinging. Slow motion. Rewind. Control. Very, very easy. All right? There's no muscles happening there. I'm being strong on the clamp, but I'm never lifting him off the ground. Right? This allows me to use a very large man and still make that happen. Make sense? It's really easy. So my job is to make it look easy. And you guys go, fuck you, I can't do that. We can all do this. Should we try it? Let's go. Ready?
All right, before we go on, are there any questions on that, on the loading or the balance point? Any questions?
I'm good. I'm really good at this.
So, it's awesome. And like we just said, a small adjustment completely changes how heavy somebody is, right? I want to have options, though. So, I can probably accomplish a flower sweep on most people by doing a lateral pull. Just pulling them over my lat, or pulling their lat and pulling them laterally, kind of like a log roll, right? Fine. But it limits my plan B, C, and D, all right? I'm really stuck on, okay, what's going to happen next? If I try to do a lateral roll on Robbie, and he's able to free his right arm, well, I've lost a lot, okay? I'm still stuck between him. He's going to drive back into me. I'll get close guard, but I had a really good spot to be in. Right? I was really winning the fight. Just by exiting my hips, I put myself in a brilliant armbar position. Okay? It's really important to know that if I have to armbar somebody, or I'm going to armbar somebody, and my hips stay between their thighs, it's really hard to accomplish the armbar. One, I feel like I'm not flexible enough to pull my foot in front of his face. Right? Two, he immediately gets pushed into an Americana shape, and I lose it. Right? Three, when I do lose this, he's going to pass my guard every time. Right? All offense costs some defense. Right? All offense costs some defense. I got to manage that risk very, very well, especially as a smaller person. So when I do this correctly, and I get a big swing here, I have more options. Now, if Robbie pulls his arm out here to post, something losing. Right? I have option A. He goes inside of the thigh, but I'm going to go to armbar spot. Okay? From here, I'm just going to clamp and step over. All right? This is a really good armbar position. I have no control over the wrist yet, but I don't care. All right? I have what I need. I can either keep it in my armpit, find the elbow, and hit my sub, or I can transition to the top. Either way, I will never touch their hand with my hand on an armbar. Right? I always use the elbow pit. So everyone has an oval-shaped wrist. I have a V-shaped elbow pit. It lines up really well. When I go to grab it, I give him all the space he needs to escape. The power of my submissions will always come from my ability to control my opponent's body, not the limb I'm trying to attack. Right? In the academy, or even at a tournament, you'll see injuries come from
Robbie thinking he can escape because my body clamp is weak, and then he either escapes or I aggressively break his arm. All right, I'm going to do neither of those things. I'm going to clamp him so my foot on his head doesn't cross, stays separate. I have a body clamp. My head clamp makes this shape, and I carve down. All right, I can like 45% choke him. All right, so I'm squeezing like I want to touch my heel to my butt hard. Now I have a huge elbow line. Right, we often hear knee line, but elbow line is important too. The shallower his elbow line is, the weaker the armbar is going to be. I want to have as much tricep as possible inside of my thighs. As he moves his shoulder away from me, it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. He's almost out. Right? This feels dramatically different than having a tight arm, a hook, squeeze the head. Now I have everything I need. I overhook, I have my hips in. My hip pressure goes up. I don't push him off of me. If I push him off of me, all I'm doing is pushing the elbow line away. All right? I want to finish this with him on top of me. The more he stacks me, the better. So stack. Okay? That's how sweet. We dive underneath. If I stop my hips here, I can't make this reach. I can't fit it. Posture up. It's still kind of. But I move my hips, right? If I leave my hips here, there's no way I'm going to get the arm bar. So, with the arm drag, underhook, big pendulum, flip over, clamp, arm bar. However you can do it. I just make shit up. All right? Either here or here, but heavy clamp. It'll feel like you're not flexible enough to do this if your hips are not turning the corner, right? That corner is really, really important. We do like a bear crawl armbar drill. I taught it at the last camp, and it really exposes that weakness in our positioning. If you watch the video, I think they just posted it, but it's a really important concept of I have to get my groin all the way into the armpit or else I can't armbar from anywhere. It is hugely important, okay? So keep that in mind. We're doing baby arm drag, dive underneath, load the flower sweep. They either posture or their hand goes to the floor to stop it. Leg over the face, armbar. Let's do this. Ready?
All right, so like I said before, right? It's not contingent upon a mistake happening. He doesn't have to put his hand on the mat. Maybe he's just a big guy that I can't roll over, right? I've still put myself into the armbar position, right? So the arm stays strapped, but I just can't get him off he's too heavy. I just can't move him, right? I just step over the armbar anyway. So he doesn't have to pull his arm out. All he has to do is not get flower swept, right? So everything's appropriate. He does everything right. I just can't make this work. Well, here. Armbar instead. All right. If he does pull he puts his post out. Again, switch my hips. There's the armbar. If for some reason, I swing this leg really far, and his arm goes the other way. We're in a triangle. All right. So I swing it and he goes up, back over. All right. He took his own arm out, so it's fine. Either way, it's fine. So we've talked about we failed our arm bar or our arm drag. We did the right thing. Right? Or we kind of accomplished part of an arm drag. Maybe it just happened in the roll. Maybe we accomplished it before we had our guard recovery. We recovered guard with part of an arm drag. But we got to a spot where I have an arm across my center line. I have a clamp. He brings his elbow back to my belly button. I just can't make the turn to the back. Right? Or I think the risk of getting on top is too high. Right? Maybe I feel like I can't make that whole cycle around this elbow to get to his back. Right? The risk versus reward is not fair for me. So now I choose to go for underneath. From here, if I push Robbie this direction, he'll push back into me, right? And so if I just do like a sit-up sweep from here and push him towards his free post, which is not possible to accomplish, but if he doesn't respond to it, it is possible, right? He has to react to it. I'm not baiting him. I'm not trying to trick him. If he does no reaction here, I'm going to take it, right? So I sit up. All right, probably not going to happen. Maybe. But I sit up and he posts.
Now we're around the corner, right? Once I have a clamp on the shoulder, I can pit stop here. I can make a choice now. I bring my left leg out for a pendulum to get him loaded, and now I can make my sweep happen. I keep it clamped, start looking at my armbar possibility. Usually what happens is, as I clamp, if he starts to posture here, that's when I'll armbar. Sorry. Oh, got him good. Right? If he doesn't posture, I'll just keep inching the corner. Here. Now I'm starting to make my sweep happen. That's weird, but it works. Right? So, get him over your head, now we're loaded. Now we're in a good spot. If from here he pulls his head away, right? He's still in an armbar. So we're looking at this idea that there are only a few things in Jiu-Jitsu I can be sure that will happen. Right? I know that if I push somebody over, they're going to push back into me. Yeah, so I can utilize that. All of the movement is good if I have an answer for it. All right? So all movement is good movement if I can utilize it. So that's the key, is figuring out how I can make you move. I can't always make you move. Or sometimes I can, often I can't. So how can I make you move, and then how can I react accordingly to an appropriate response? So this is where I see this happening. I put myself in a position where I've made this hub of a movement, and then there's a ton of spokes coming off of it that give me options. All right, I'm not funneling myself into one direction. All right? If we look at things like this in Jiu-Jitsu, if I fail on the flower sweep, and I go back to close guard, I put a lot of work into something that failed. And mentally, that's really hard. Right? So I can't do this too. I tried so hard. I did 13 steps accurately. It's a 14-step move, and he stopped me. Right? Mentally, that sucks. But if I put myself in a spot where I've done 1 or 2 steps by doing a big pendulum, getting perpendicular, but I have a ton of options, then mentally, when one thing fails, it doesn't matter. So I'm still using that movement. Right? As a smaller person, I need you to move. Right? That stale moment of the match is really scary for me. Right? I want you to be moving. Like, we can be moving, I can keep you moving. But starting and stopping a train is really hard. Right? Once it's going, it cruises. So